This is the oldest photograph in the world. It was taken in 1826 or 1827 by a French guy whose name I will not even bother to try to pronounce. Anyway, it's not a silver painting like you might think. It's actually made by taking a polished plate of pewter and spreading it with a substance called bitumen of Judea, which is an organic pigment. What he did was he put a layer of bitumen of Judea on this plate, and then he exposed it to light, and the light parts of the bitumen were made insoluble in a solvent, probably by polymerization. So he washed away all the rest of it, and he was left with this image. An interesting idea. And I don't see any reason not to at least try it for myself. So, got a couple of things I want to try. The first thing is I really don't want to use a plate made of pewter. Thought I might try something a little more mid-19th century. Plus, I've never cut glass before, so I thought that might be fun too. So we're going to try cutting some glass and making some glass plates. The second thing is that he dissolved his bitumen of Judea in oil of lavender. And I don't have any oil of lavender, but it's supposed to be soluble in a lot of different solvents. Oil of lavender is a solvent that's used in oil painting. I have some paint thinner, which is not turpentine but close. So I thought I might try that. So we'll just we'll give this a little experimental effort here and see if we can come up with something that approximates an image on glass made using bitumen of Judea, and then we'll see where that takes us. I have 7 plates that I can try using for this photography thing. There was an unfortunate incident with the 8th plate. This is my B of J after it was dissolved in some warm mineral spirits, and that seems to have done the trick. I've got kind of a thick tarry goo, which is interesting, of course, because bitumen is a tar. So I think I'm good with that. I just need to come up with a reliable way to smear it on these plates. I am kind of keeping it covered up. This stuff is light sensitive, I guess, but it's only sort of kind of light sensitive. Our French friend apparently exposed his plate for hours to days in order to develop that photograph. These are my failed experiments in dissolving the BOJ, and I'm just going to let them dry out, and then I'll recover that stuff and put it back to use. I'm going to try a way of getting this BOJ smoothly spread onto my plates. I don't know if it'll work or not. It's a little lumpier than I thought it was going to be. I warmed it, so I'm not sure why it's lumpy like that. Let's just try putting some on and see what we get. I think it needs to be a little warmer. We'll say more of it. Okay, so to a first approximation, this way was sucky. I would say that I think this stuff might be a little, it's either too cool or too warm, and I'm going to go with I don't know. Okay, well that fundamentally was not good. I think what I might do is put them in the oven for a bit, just at a low temperature, and see if I can get them maybe to melt a tiny bit so that they self-level. We'll try that, sort of like paint. So this isn't as bright as sunlight, but it's a lot more reliable, and also going to stay on longer. I'm going to give this 48 hours, and then we'll try developing this one and see what we get. I want to try developing these things, so let's take it out and see. Clearly no visible sign that anything's changed. Let's try these two, and then we'll do our sort of unexposed plate last. I don't want to get immolated, so I'm not really planning on heating this stuff too much. I'll just figure I'll get it a little bit warm. I think we'll just let these sit for a minute and see what happens. Here's my 8-day plate. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this because, see that? Look at that. There's circles on it. This is the mask. Here's the plate. And there's circles on it. Let me see if I can get you another shot here. See, there's one right there. And here's the other one. There were squares too. The problem though was that they washed off because they didn't adhere to the glass. I'm on to the next round of trying to get a photograph. It occurs to me that maybe my emulsion's just too thick, because if I expose it to light, but it's so thick that only the outside of the emulsion gets hardened, then when I wipe it off, it'll just come off with the underside that was shaded by the top layer. So I've got another one of these in my exposure setup. I'll leave it there for 48 hours and we'll see what happens. I'm feeling the need to go back to first principles here because I am just not having any luck on developing these exposed glass plates, if you will. I can clearly cause a chemical change, but then I can't wash it off. In other words, I can't develop it. So back we go to 1826. Here's a pewter plate. It feels funny. It doesn't feel like aluminum. It's actually 2.7 times as dense as aluminum. It's soft. It cut really easily. It deforms easily. It's very different from aluminum. It's almost all tin. There's a little antimony in it. Some pewter has lead in it. This does not. So we're going to try that for our plate. And then as far as our solvent, oil of lavender, that's what he used. Apparently, oil of lavender was used as a diluent for oil paints for many years until it was superseded by turpentine and eventually by odorless mineral spirits. So this is interesting because, I don't know, it's possible people had oil of lavender coming out of their backsides in 1826, but it's rather difficult to get a hold of now. Plus, this thing cost me $5, and this thing cost me $10, and this thing cost me $22. Well, this has been under a light for, I think, about 4 days. My latest attempt at photography with a B of J spread on a pewter plate. I was under the impression that I could actually see a change in the B of J when it was spread on the glass, but I'll have to tell you, in this particular case, I don't see that. I've been questioning whether or not I was having problems with adherence of the bitumen to the glass, which is why I changed to the base. And I'm also concerned about whether or not I'm having problems with dissolution of the stuff in the neutral mineral spirits that I was using for developing, which is why I'm using this incredibly expensive and really kind of odoriferous oil of lavender as my developing fluid this time. That's what they did in 1826. So I think I'll just put this on and give it a bit and see what happens. So I finally have had some modicum of success with my photography project, and the way I did it was going back to first principles in essence, using an actual plate made of pewter and using the same solvent that the French dude used, whose name I am forgetting, back in 1826. And it's not beautiful, but it's photography, and I think that that's actually a basis I can improve on. Got all kinds of experiments I can do with this about different kinds of bases and different kinds of chemicals, and more importantly, different kinds of images. Um, I'm going to go ahead and let this thing dry out. Meanwhile, I'm going to get my funnel and shove that lavender oil up my backside. But for now, I think I'm going to call that one an episode, because I think I've opened up a line of inquiry that probably has 3 or 4 more episodes in it. So this is probably a good place to stop. So anyway, thanks very much for dropping by to see me do that. Please feel free to like and subscribe if you want. And of course, if you don't want, you don't have to. I'd appreciate it if you tell your friends. If you don't want to, that's fine. And if they don't want to watch, I'll be okay, because I'll just be here doing my thing. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. Have a great day. Watch out for hidden cameras and the smell of lavender. Bye now.